Hello, pastime viewers, it's Coral Han here. Some or many of you may have come across the article tonight that I did when I sat down at dinner, and it really made my heart sink. But at the same time, there were some fishy things about it. And yes, you know, the media tends to have a lot of times their own agenda, but I just, in their viewpoint that they want to put out there. So I read through the article carefully. What drew to my attention was that the president had been quoted or referenced as saying that the Pledge of Allegiance was a divisive thing, and I was like, how do you get away with, I mean, I know some of the candidates in this election have said a lot of stupid things, a lot of silly things, but how do you get away with saying that allegiance is divisive? I'm like, it made me question it. But I was like, if this is true, this is a very sad day, you know, because I'm over 30, and I know that there are people younger than me who are growing up with this being, you know, the norm. So it made me very concerned for my country, the United States of America, and made me wonder, as somebody who's over 30, and I know that a number of people share this with me, it's like we're kind of wondering in the back of our minds, you know, how long are we going to be able to say United States of America anymore? Because it's like ever increasing, you know, there is a lot of division and disunity and distrust, but it's not because of the Pledge of Allegiance. It's not solely because of the Pledge of Allegiance, which that one little word, you know, one little phrase, under God, has been so blown out by the media. So just for kicks, I'm gonna read the Pledge of Allegiance because I haven't read it for a while. Some of you may not have heard it for a while, just to recap. So let's see, let me turn on my computer here. Okay, so I'm gonna read this here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Now, am I saying to worship a flag? Of course not. But, you know, when I was a kid, probably around 2nd to 4th grade, right around there, my school did take a trip, because I lived on the East Coast. We did take a trip to the museum where the original American flag hung, and, you know, they uncovered it so that we could see it, you know, and played the national anthem and patriotic music, and it was an experience. You know, you see the tattered flag, you see the bullet holes, you see, and there's a sense of respect and heavy, you know, it is a heavy, somber moment of like, I'm here because others fought for my freedom. So if we're headed a direction where a leader can or did, you know, just sign a piece of paper saying that, you know, allegiance is divisive and it's not, you know, the Pledge of Allegiance is not important, that allegiance itself basically is not important, that begs the question, that, well, first of all, that insults every soldier, or should be an insult to every soldier who's ever, you know, fought in a battle and been maimed or killed, you know, or the families who have lost loved ones who have given their life for you and for me. So that's just really sad and ridiculous, and insulting and upsetting. So then the rest of it is this Pledge of Allegiance, and to the republic for which it stands. So that republic has to do with with the relationship and accountability between the people and its leader, or its leaders, its elected leaders, of who we elect, who we say is in charge. Republic, Googled definition. Noun, a state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. So if you get a person just signing a piece of paper, a leader, that begs the question, well, if this leader is dismissing the importance of allegiance and unity, why should I be allegiant to this leader? So that in and of itself is a scary aspect. And I'm not saying this to scare people or wig them out, but to really get people to think about what isn't being said. Because growing up, I so often heard the saying, the phrase, oh, well, it goes without saying. Well, I was like, how do I respond to that? And I finally formed a response. So my basic response to that, when people say that, or when that's put to me, is, well, if it goes without saying, it often is, because there's an importance, and I know some people who may be watching this may not consider themselves a Christian, but as a Christian, I do believe in the power of words, and even those who are non-Christian believe that. You see it in the campaigns against bullying. You see it in the movies such as Cinderella that I love, when the stepsisters are cruel to her and call her Cinderella and, in a mean way, and the godmother character monologues, words have power like magic spells. I was like, yeah, it's true. Our words have power, whether to heal or to hurt. However we use them, they have power. So it's a scripture, and I may not be completely correct, but the idea is, out of the, I think I'm quoting it correct. I don't have the scripture address to it, but it's like, out of the heart the mouth speaks. So really, there's a recurring theme in scripture about the number 2, going in a pair, not just going out, as disciples, just the Lone Ranger, but having a buddy system, having, system for lack of better words, but, having a buddy, and, the 2 or 3 witnesses, not just one person saying this is the truth, but to have another person who was there at saw the same thing, and likewise, not just what we say, but what we believe. There's an importance to that, because it's not just what we say or what we believe if we keep quiet about it. So there's a significance to the number 2, so to speak. And there's a significance to accountability, to allegiance, to unity. And that may have seemed like a bit of a ramble, but I'm trying to get back to the point. So with the republic, let's see here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. So you're pledging allegiance to a leader, to each other, and that follows through one nation under God, indivisible. I believe is the next line. Yep. For which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible. So it's completely ridiculous to be thinking or saying along the lines that the Pledge of Allegiance is a divisive thing. The divisive thing where the divisiveness comes in is just that little bit about the under God. Now, those who don't believe in God, personally, I know are in for a big surprise, but, you know, I'm not here to convince you. I'm just here to say, like, the word truth in and of itself, I won't, like, you've probably heard it all before, but the basic thing that it comes down to is truth is divisive, and that's why the whole relative truth thing is so popular, because everybody can believe whatever they want to believe and there's no fact, and that's a lie. That's not only an absolute statement to be declaring that, but it's also a lie because we see the evidence of it otherwise. You know, there are truths. Like, I had a ridiculous debate about gravity being a actual relative thing. I was like, but we all know that gravity exists, you know, things fall down. And it was like having a conversation, I had a conversation with somebody about this once, and it was like having a conversation with those who don't know, there's a song in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, where Lucy, the character Lucy, is teaching her younger brother about all these things like eagles are sparrows and ants make the grass grow and snow falls up and all this stuff. It was like having a conversation with that character. So, you know, but we do see, and it's not a bad thing. So, see, that's the tendency, is that, like, Christians have presented it as a negative thing, but I would like to present it as a positive thing, because there are truths, there's truth that stands the test of time and lies are soon exposed, is a proverb written by the wisest man that ever lived, King Solomon, you know, who wrote tons and tons of proverbs. So anyway, if we, because there, like I said, there's been an increase in our country of distrust and dissatisfaction with religion and how God himself has been presented through the Christian church and media, sadly enough. But if we dismiss it, if we squash alliance, I think Allegiant was, if I'm remembering correctly, the title of, you know, the whole, my mind just went blank, that series, that movie series that about the girl, the actress was arrested at the DAPL, Dakota Pipeline, Divergent series that is so popular with the younger generation. If we keep heading this direction of, like, wanting the Pledge of Allegiance out of schools, out of our lives, out of our country, we need to be thinking about the direction that we're heading, what we aren't saying but implying by complaining about it, and demanding it gone, because alliance is a beautiful thing, unity is a beautiful thing, and we live in a very time of unrest, and it's increasingly ever important to fight for the unity. As I was walking home tonight, And I was thinking about this article and all that it said and all the aspects that weren't brought to play into it and what I wanted to talk about. I thought of the show Camelot, the season 1 that never got to season 2 that I wish would. But Joseph Fiennes, that plays Merlin, tells King Arthur, you know, we're gonna fight for the soul of this country. And I was like, I love that line. I love it. You know, the way he says it, the way he delivers it, it was just like spot on, you know, like it's how I felt. Like there's a need to fight for the soul of our country. Not religion, but and honestly, like in the Bible, hold on, let me look. I'm sorry to be making this a long video, but I wanted, this is important to me, I wanted to just give me a second here. Hold on. I use Blue Letter Bible. Whether or not you're a Christian, I think it's a really good concordance. You can type in any any word and have all these different translations. I know there's a lot of, like, Bible Study Tools is another popular one, but I like that one. Blue Letter Bible. So I think that you would find this, whether or not you're a believer, a very beautiful thing, because religion has long been misrepresented. I came across this past year while reading sorry, to get the, okay, yeah, it's in James, in the New Testament. Sorry, my voice is a little, I've been doing this video over and over a couple times as I've been informed of new things. So James 1:27, pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. And so often, like, Christians focus about being unspotted from the world, but we forget that, I mean, he says that so beautifully, like, pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. I was like, you know what, it is kind of beautiful, like when I mention that to people, and they say, yeah, you know, Jesus cared about people, like, even if you don't believe in Jesus, like, I've had people say, like, yeah, you know, Christianity has, in a large portion, forgotten about the importance of people, and there is an increase of awareness of, you know, the mentally ill, the widows, the orphans, the fatherless, you know, all these people who are hurting, because Jesus came to help them, and he fed them, he healed them, he ministered to them, he, you know, yeah, we've mainly forgotten about people, you know, so with our focus of being unspotted from the world thing. Although we do need to watch that we don't swing just one way or just the other. But anyway, so I've covered pretty much all of it, all of the Pledge of Allegiance except the last line. So we talked about the flag, we talked about the soldiers, we talked about the accountability between people and their leader, the importance of that, unity, the importance of that, and then liberty and justice. Now I'm already at 20 minutes almost, so I don't want to dismiss liberty and justice, but I kind of, you know, my voice is kind of giving out a little bit, so I will kind of want to end this with, you know, maybe a little bit of room for thought for, like, why liberty and justice is important as well in the Pledge of Allegiance. So because there has been an ever-increasing, I mean, we see it a lot, you know, about the justice, but also the liberty as an issue. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this was not, you know, it is not meant to be, you know, it's not meant to be like depressing or get one into a hopeless mind state or anything like that. It is to be aware of what is being said, what is not being included or thought about, and to think about that from a mindset of like, okay, how, if you're a young person, you know, how can I be helping not only this election but those to come, you know, in my generation, like how can I help improve and keep allegiance and unity alive in this United States thus far. So like I always try to say, whether you are into finances, into health, into rockets, or, you know, rocket scientist, or math, or, you know, financial planning, or artist, or, you know, whatever your gifting and talent is, to use it for the betterment, to use it for the healing of this land, of other people, and, you know, continue to make this world better. Bye.